That kind of rainfall was unprecedented in the area. I was drenched from head to toe. By time we got to the band part of the evening, there was a leak over where the band was. And instead of being like, we're walking away, we don't know what to do, this is wet, we popped up umbrellas, moved the equipment. We ended up having the band perform with an empty area in the middle. It was absolutely crazy. And that musical partner, they performed. They even sang like, "It's Raining Men," and the whole band pulled up their umbrellas and everyone was laughing. It was the best freaking party. Not only because their performance was amazing, but because they saw that this wedding mattered. You guys, it was magic. So let's talk about music.
Live your life within the moment, and don't go wait until the morning.
Welcome to The Wedding Plan. My name is Tyler Spire, and me and my team produce bespoke events across the globe. This podcast is where I share key advice for planning your own wedding, as well as behind-the-scenes adventures and stories from the events we produce. Hey friends, welcome to The Wedding Plan. We are taking every other week an episode to talk about the process of planning a wedding. So if you are a couple in the middle of the wedding planning process, welcome. We are so excited that you are here. We know it's such an adventure, and I'm hoping that these tips and tricks from my 16 years of experience are helpful and informative as you make these big decisions surrounding your day. If you are a wedding professional and you're joining us, I hope this is informative and helpful to you as well. Whether you are a planner who is learning the ropes or wanting to hear kind of how we do things, or a professional that just wants to know more about our process and how we think through these various items, you are so welcome here. Please continue to send any comments or questions, social media. You can do it on this YouTube video, wherever you like. We love those comments and questions. I did receive a question about content creators in response to our last episode. And it was actually from a wedding vendor. And they said, I find that content creators are very frustrating because they're getting in the way of our shot. What are your thoughts on the importance of getting that kind of content? And I think that's a great question. And my answer to that, friends, is kind of going back to what I said in the last episode. It is so important that the photo, video, and content creator are all on the same team. If there is a content creator that is going rogue and getting in the way and doing things, they are not being a good team player. And that doesn't work. I kind of prioritize things, not because I think one is better or more important than the other, but just in terms of logistics, photo, then video, then content. Like, often that's how it works for us. So, and I talked a little bit in the last episode of kind of making sure the content creators to the side so they're not in the way, and making sure the photo and video team have good communications. They're not feeling like they're in the way of each other and unable to get like the moment or the shot that they need. I think that if you were listening to this and you are a vendor or even a couple and you're noticing some of that on your big day, hopefully as a couple, you're never noticing something like that on your big day. But hey, you might get to the big day and you're noticing that the teams are kind of like having trouble jiving. I think like if you're a vendor, especially a planner, you can say, hey guys, we really need to make sure that everyone's getting the content they need, but we need to make sure that content creators to the side, we need to make sure that photos here and that photo and video, you guys are on the same team. I think that's really a planner's job to notice. And unfortunately, if you're a couple and you're noticing that and it's starting to feel frustrating, I think speaking that, like saying, hey guys, like I feel like everyone's kind of on top of each other. Can we just like all spread out a little bit and do this? And hopefully we avoid any of that by just doing the work in the beginning to get the right team lined up with good communication, with who people love to work with, et cetera, etc. So today we're switching gears from all the imagery and all the beautiful things, and we're going to talk about music, which is like super fun and really can make an event feel amazing. And music is one of my favorite parts of the event because I think it like really helps tell the story. It evokes so much emotion. You know, photo and video are going to evoke more emotion and things after the event. Now we're focusing on, you know, things that like in the moment are going to evoke amazing emotion and really contribute to the experience. And I want to say from the beginning, you know, music doesn't necessarily just mean the dancing portion of the night. We've done weddings where there's not even dancing because maybe that's not the couple's thing. I think that we often associate like a really great dance party with a wedding, and I think that's great. But if you're a couple listening to this and you're just not really into dancing, that's totally fine. We've done weddings without any dancing, but still with amazing musical experiences. And just like any other vendor on the big day, as I've spoken about in the past couple episodes, weddings have such a limited amount of time. And so it's so important that every single person coming to the table to be a part of the team is a really good team player. So I have a story to tell you. In the early days of my business, we did a lot of weddings at this really beautiful private estate. It has this like retro greenhouse on it, made of glass. And we had a lot of weddings there in the early days of our business. We had a lot of referrals from there. And I got to create some really amazing things. And that space really like opened so many doors. The venue manager at the time, her name was Lori. She's amazing. She like referred us to so many clients, and it really transformed our business. It was really magical kind of time. And it was also not the easiest place to work, right? It was a organic farm. It had dusty, floors, and it's a greenhouse, and in the summer it would get hot and in the winter it would get cold, and it wasn't something you could really cover or control a lot of the temperature. So it had its challenges, just like any other outdoor venue has their challenges, right? And part of your job as a planner is to navigate those challenges. So I want to tell you 2 stories that happened at this venue with different musical partners, and just the difference between a partner that was really great to work with and a partner that was really challenging to work with. So we were doing this one wedding. It was beautiful, so fun. It was like a beautiful kind of June morning, kind of cloudy, overcast, not too hot in the greenhouse. The weather projection for the day wasn't even that hot, so we didn't really have like fans or cooling devices or things. We were feeling really good. We're setting up, and I'm telling you, like around 11 a.m., it was said it was going to be a cloudy day almost all day. All the clouds burned off, which was great for the couple, right? They wanted that sunny, beachy afternoon wedding. And all of a sudden, it was so hot. It was just insane. I remember like our team was setting up in the greenhouse and all of our faces were red. I got sunburned to a crisp. We're like setting up. We're like trying to keep our flowers cool. It was an ordeal. We like were bringing in fans. We're being flexible. We're making solutions happen. That's what we do. And I remember the band got there, and they're doing their sound check, and they come up to me and they're like, "It's too hot. We can't do anything." And I remember looking at them and being like, "Okay, so what's our solution? Like, what can we do?" And they're like, "We just think we might need to leave because this isn't good working conditions." Now, friends, I am in no way advocating that anybody working should be subject to bad conditions, right? If something is dangerous or it is hot, like we need to have good boundaries. We're all humans, and that's important. And I'm a firm believer in creative problem solving and making things happen. And how can we make this happen? Because it's hot, and this venue in this moment is not ideal. It's a greenhouse. The sun is coming through the roof. It is hotter than Hades. It's a vintage greenhouse. We cannot cover it. We cannot shade it. It will break the glass. We can bring in industrial fans, but it's also a dusty floor. So there's only so much you can do to control the temperature in this space at this time. And so, they complained a lot, and I came up with creative solutions. I was like, how about this? Why don't you guys, like, we got some umbrellas, we got some fans, we pointed at the equipment. We said, okay, now why don't you guys go take a break, drink some water? If it's still this hot when it's time for you guys to perform, maybe we need to do a, take off your suit coats. Let's like, maybe you're not going to be in as like professional, like in black tie attire. Let's just like make it a little more casual, roll up those sleeves. Let's get you, this. And then if that's still too hot, let's play a playlist and have you guys perform as the sun is going down, and maybe take a few less breaks and just really go through. I'm like listing all these changes. I'm coming up with the solutions. I just remember this like musical partners kept looking at me being like, hey, this is just bad. This is just so bad. It is so hot. We all need a break. And they all just left. And I remember thinking, like, you guys got here at 3 p.m. to do your sound check, and you've been in here for 40 minutes. And yes, it's bad, but like every other vendor, the catering team, our team has been in here since the morning. And we're like sunburned to a crisp doing this because we all love our work and are dedicated to making this day happen for this amazing couple. I just remember feeling like you are not a team player. You're not even suggesting alternatives to us right now. This is so frustrating. You guys, it continued all the way through the night. And we've not worked with that vendor since, because when people have said like, who do you recommend? They don't come up on my list. And it's not because they had boundaries. That's clear. We have worked with musical professionals and all sorts of vendors who've had boundaries in the process. I respect and I love a good boundary. And I respect and love a good problem-solving, positive attitude. At the end of the night, I don't think that couple ever knew that all that happened. I was able to problem solve. I was able to like send someone to the store to buy more fans. We were able to like keep the band. They didn't end up playing during dinner. We did a playlist instead because they claimed it was too hot. The whole catering team still had to work and everybody still had to do their jobs, but they they drew that boundary, and I was like, okay. And then they did play the set for dancing, and everybody had a great time. The key here was there was no problem solving. It was all on me, which as a planner, that's my job, is to problem solve, but we're looking for key players. On the flip side, at the same venue, a while later, we did a wedding where there was a horrible rainstorm. And it was, I think, maybe one of the hardest weddings of my life. There was a huge rainstorm, and we like tented the ceremony, which was great. We the reception was in this greenhouse, but just due to whatever circumstances were going on at the time, there were some leaks in the roof of the greenhouse that we like couldn't control. It was made of glass. You couldn't cover it with anything. It would break it. It was just, it was a challenge. And I remember the band that played for that wedding was so helpful. I remember like the tent is going up for the ceremony, and the wind was really bad, and like the ground was starting to flood, and like we were problem solving out the wazoo. We were like making sure like wood chips were being brought in where the buses would be unloading. We were having umbrellas brought in, and like everything we needed to make sure this day went smoothly. And I remember like there was a small issue with the power because the generator and the water. I mean, it was just like a whole thing, right? And as a planner, I'm like literally problem solving in the moment. Like, how do we make this happen? And I remember that band was like, look, we were supposed to have a generator out there. We're going to send someone back. We're going to get a battery operated system. We're going to get them in this tent. We're going to move some of the chairs here, put it here. We've got you. We're going to make this happen. And they did. And I've referred them for years and years now, right? It was amazing. When we got into the reception, there was a leak that we didn't see. And I think it may have been because a branch or something fell and kind of cracked some of the glass over where the stage was, because it wasn't there in the morning. But by time we got to the band part of the evening, there was a leak over where the band was. And instead of being like, we're walking away, we don't know what to do, this is wet, we popped up umbrellas, moved the equipment. We ended up having the band perform with an empty area in the middle. You guys, you may be hearing this and being like, this sounds like hell. Actually, I can look back and it was so hard. I was drenched from head to toe. I remember getting home that night and just every inch of my body was drenched from the rain, from the craziness. My brain was like on for hours. It was just like a really intense day as a planner with all these curveballs that we didn't and could not expect. That kind of rainfall was unprecedented in the area. And thank God we have like event meteorologists and all these other things now that can help us avoid these things. But at the time, we were working with what we had. And it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And that musical partner, they performed. They even sang like, "It's Raining Men," and the whole band pulled up their umbrellas and the dance floor was wet and everyone was laughing. One of the band guys even like got under the leak and got his hair away. Like they just made it this like, it was the best freaking party. Not only because their performance was amazing, but because they saw that this wedding mattered. They were a team player. And they were like, we are going to roll with these punches, and not just roll with them. We're going to make it all happen. You guys, it was magic. So let's talk about music. Just like photo and video, I think it's really important to ask yourself about style, professionalism, and personality. Those are the three things I check for any of my key vendors. Starting just as a couple, you can say, what style of music do we love? Do we love a string quartet? Do we love jazz? Do we love new age? Do we love EDM? Like what music do we love? And asking yourself that. That's kind of step number one. Step number two is I like to ask, what do you think your guests will also love? If you have a really nuanced kind of or specific style of music that you love, I think it's important to take that into account first. I don't think that what you think, I don't like it when couples are like, well, I just want my guests to like it. If you get too far down that road, you have to remember, like, if you have a bunch of guests, they're all going to have different preferences. You're never going to make everyone happy. And what we want is the day to feel like your day. So we want to make sure your preferences are kind of taken into account first. But then I think it's important to ask, like, what will our guests love? Do you have a bunch of young guests that love exactly the same music you do? Do you have a bunch of guests that are maybe like your parents' friends that really love another style of music? What do your parents love to dance to? Thinking about all of that, I think, is really important. And I think that in line with that style and what you love, you can ask yourself, do we want live music or a DJ or a hybrid of both? Sometimes that's determined by budget. A band is almost always more expensive than a DJ, unless it's a celebrity DJ. Just by the fact that there's lots of people performing, there's a lot more logistics and kind of things in that, and kind of asking yourself what you would like and what your budget allows for. Once you have decided on the style you like and you've kind of found a few vendors that might feel like a good fit, the next two layers, I always ask myself, how professional are they? If an inquiry gets submitted, are they getting back to you quickly? Is the communication clear? If you have a call with them, do they carry themselves well? Do they know what they're talking about? Are they someone you want to work with? And I think personality matters as well. You're not with your band leader or your music rep or your DJ as much as you are with your photo and video team. But I do think that like when you get on a call with these people, it's important to make sure that you feel like there's a connection and that you're excited to work with them. These people are going to be producing your day. Now, when we get proposals for music, I think it's really important to look at kind of the details and make sure that you're making decisions with your eyes wide open. So I'm going to start with a band. I love a good band. I think that the energy is unmatched. I think that having a good band can make all the difference in the world. And I think that having a not so good band also makes all the difference in the world. So I tell my couples, if you're getting a band, go all the way. Get a really good one. Otherwise, in my opinion, go with a DJ. And having a really good band, I think, just adds so much energy and so much fun. Now, when you get a proposal for a band, it's really important that you understand all of the requirements and associated things that come with a band. Most bands are going to have requirements like they need a stage, they need band lighting, they need a green room, they have certain power requirements, and they're going to need meals, they're going to need breaks, whatever it is. It's important to make sure that you as a planner, we do this, but it's important if you don't have a planner or you're doing a partial planner and you're booking this yourself, that you understand the requirements of the band, because a green room is often included at somewhere like a hotel, but you need to make sure that that's in writing, that you have a green room. You need to make sure that it's, maybe your venue includes a stage, but if they don't, that's something you need to rent and bring in. Maybe your venue has lighting for the band already, but if they don't, it's something you need to hire, bring in, get the power drops, all the things, and those things will add to the budget. Some bands have really big stage requirements that take up a lot of space, and maybe you have a really finite amount of space and that won't work. Maybe you need a smaller band. So not just falling in love with the band, but also making sure all the logistics are accounted for. And this is again why you have a full service planner. If you're doing a band, we'd recommend a full service planner. But if you're not, if this is something you're doing yourself, it's important to look through all those requirements and have a full understanding of what needs to happen to make it happen. I've had couples before be like, oh, but like, we want to get the amazing band, but like, can we just get like the cheapest stage possible and do this? Like, this is where we want to save money. And I've told my clients flat out, like, look at this band. Like, when you look at their portfolio and you look at their things they're doing, are they performing on like rickety stages, or are these like nice carpeted, well done stages? Like, the feeling and the look of everything matters. And while I never want someone to invest money where they don't need to invest it, and I am a fan of saving where we can save, you need to look at like the caliber of vendor you are hiring and the caliber of things that are surrounding them. And like, you don't want to skimp on those things. If you're making the investment, go all the way, like get the full experience for that vendor. Also, when working with a band, often when you get a proposal back, the proposal is for 3 to 4 hours and it's a band set. Events are longer than 3 to 4 hours. And so it's really important to make sure that you have coverage for your ceremony, coverage for your cocktail hour, coverage for dinner, and coverage for dancing. And if you're doing an after party, coverage for that. Some bands will partner with sound companies or AV companies to manage those things. Sometimes venues provide it. Everything's a little different. But what you need to make sure is that in addition to like loving the vendor, that you fully understand their contractual requirements and that you have sound coverage from 30 minutes before the ceremony to the very end of the after party, and that every sound system is accounted for, every moment is accounted for, and that whether it's just a playlist playing or an artist performing, that you have musical sound coverage, whatever you want to call it, from 30 minutes prior to ceremony to the very end of the night. I also love DJs. I think that having a DJ can be really fun. A really good DJ who mixes really well. I love a DJ that mixes with some vinyl. I love a DJ that can do a really good set. And, I have a lot of couples, even at some of our most over-the-top weddings, that choose a DJ because that's the form of entertainment they love. And I think that's amazing and good and wonderful. And I think that the main thing with a DJ, in addition to style, personality, professionalism, is making sure you have coverage for the entire event. If your ceremony's in one spot, your cocktail hours in one spot, dinner's in one spot, dancing in one spot, the after party's in one spot, that could be 5 sound system setups. So you just want to make sure in your initial contract that you've accounted for all the setups that you need and coverage for all the things that you need. Finally, I am loving for couples who like maybe aren't doing the full band or don't just want to DJ. I'm loving some of these hybrid options that are out there and that are trending. I think it's so much fun. We've done weddings where we've had a DJ, but then we've had like them play with an electric violinist or saxophonist or percussionist or trumpets or whatever, you name it. A lot of DJs are starting to offer this where you have the DJ mixing and then you have these musicians playing alongside and you kind of get that live energy. It's just super fun. So there's so many creative things out there. And I love, if your budget permits, having an amazing musical experience. We've had weddings where we've had a grand piano brought in for as the guests are arriving, a pianist playing, and then a string quartet at cocktail hour, and a jazz trio during dinner, and a DJ or a band for dancing, and then like a full like fun like DJ, but maybe with like an electric violinist for the after party. And there's so many things you can do in so many ways that music can be brought in so beautifully. So I love a good creative, French jazz or something just like different and fun. And then keep in mind, if you're planning a full weekend, you also can have music at your welcome party and other events throughout the weekend to really tell your story. So drop any questions you have about music and all of the things. And it's so fun to brainstorm. And one of my fun things is just like seeing all these couples that, come through our doors and just like their different visions and things that they love. There's so many just creative perspectives on music and different things that bring us joy. And, this coming season, we have everything from, Irish trios to harpists to bands to flying in celebrity DJs, like all these fun things. And I think music is such an amazing form of expression and an amazing way to provide an incredible experience for your guests.
Live your life within the moment. And don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away.